Webuda. Unajua Kenya iko na vita na IS.
Ati huku
hawa wasee wako kila mahali. They account for over 75% of the jobs in Kenya. Si unawajua wale mabesti zetu wako pale Globe Roundabout hapo Ngara. Wale utuzia viatu, mtumba, tuna shine.
wewe acha. Unamaanisha wase utolewa teke na kanjo wakishupigwa mafe kila siku?
That's right. Hata madhe alikuwa anauza pilau hapo Gikosh. Kabla siku moja tuamke, tunakuja, tunapata imechomeka tu.
God. Madhe yako anapikia Islamic State?
Not that IS, genius. I mean, Kenya's informal sector. Millions of people are just trying to get by. Na hawa watu wanatoa kitu kidogo badala ya kutoa taxes. You know, it's funny. It just so happens to be the biggest informal sector in Africa.
Oh, pia hiyo ni IS. Mbona tunapigana nao wase?
Now that's a good question. Stay tuned. Nitakushow.
5 p.m. on a weekday in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. The jam-packed pavements lining most major streets in the city let you know that it's time for business. Tens of thousands of men and women haggle and push their products onto the rush hour crowd. And millions of shillings change hands across the country. But not for long. In an instant, this legion of hawkers are on the move. A city inspectorate van has been spotted around the corner. No one wants to be caught out. This time, nobody gets arrested, and the van moves on to unsettle another part of town. Like clockwork, the hawkers settle back into their routine. Night settles in, foot traffic gets heavier, and business hots up. But the game continues. It's a game that hawkers and officers from the city's inspectorate department will play the entire evening. And every available alleyway is a hiding place. It's easy to think that hawkers are simply opportunists, willing to make a quick shilling from any place they can find, while outfoxing a determined inspectorate. That is just part of this story. Hawkers are part of a population in Kenya that, at best, are not acknowledged and at worst, are victims of repeated acts of violence by people and institutions who see them as a nuisance. This footage, for instance, was recorded days before United States President Barack Obama visited Kenya in 2015. The National Youth Service was dispatched to Nairobi streets to clear them of quote-unquote undesirables. Along with street families, informal traders were also harassed, almost always winding up in the back of a city inspectorate van. Over the years, attempts to give informal traders safe trading spaces have been little more than window dressing.
Tumeharasiwa kabisa wiki tatu. Si nimekwambia tumekula nguo kama panya wiki tatu. Hata asubuhi wameturaukia 6. Wamevuja kila kitu, wametuharass.
With politicians often telling them what they want to hear when faced by their frustration.
Kitu cha pili, masha ile isili vile nimesema, nyinyi rudini mweke vitu vyenyu kwa
I started building. I stopped the construction and referred the title deed to National Lands Commission. I've asked National Lands Commission to cancel that title. In the meantime, that's the reason why I asked the traders to go back.
We have a culture within the leadership which seems to agree that having many poor people is not too bad for political reasons. You can of course use the language, they are better voters to buy.
In truth, it's a lot more dangerous to walk a mile in a hawker's shoes. On this evening, we met a number of hawkers trying to get away from Kanjo, as the city inspectorate officers are called.
Hii nao ni brown. Hii pia ni kisi. Brown.
Wanasiasa wa Nairobi. Kuongea kwangu mimi nikiongea, hakuna mwanasiasa anaweza saidia mtu. According to my research, hakuna mwanasiasa anaweza saidia kwanza mchuuzi. Kitu ya kwanza, governor alisema Nairobi, kulingana na manifesto yake alisema Nairobi itakuwa kazi 24/7. Na akasema hivi, hawkers watatafutiwa mahali ya kuuzia. President Uhuru, mkutano ya mwisho ya Jubilee Uhuru Park, alisema hawkers hawatakuwa kiitwa hawkers, wataitwa small scale traders. Kutoka siku hiyo mpaka wa leo hakuja ibadilika.
Earlier this year, dramatic footage of the attempted arrest of a disabled hawker showed up online. It was recorded in 2010, but on camera, inspectorate officers bared their teeth against the lady. Many have asked why any public officer would treat a citizen this way. From what we have seen, one word answers these questions: money.
Kila Friday watu tunawapea pesa. Tunawapatiana ngapi? So that
Over the past 1 year, a group of brave Kenyans have secretly recorded on camera what is one of the city's most widespread extortion networks. And at its heart are officers from the City County's Inspectorate and the police. This vault has 293 hours of footage with names, faces, and bribe exchanges that paint a worrying picture of the depth and organization of the bribery and extortion machine inside City Hall, oiled by the hard-earned money of hundreds of thousands of informal traders. Driven by fear and violence.
Waliangara, wali mmoja. kabisa kaka Ziangara. Unafanya tao. Wewe ndio usiku kuna miezi tano ngine moja. Mimi na kibo hii. Ubero kwa gari. Askari mwe amekuja simu ya ametoka wapi? Amekuja kata hivi karibia. Wao ni moja mtawanya wao. Ati waje ngoanze tunawanya kwa. Amekuja kata kwa gari hivi. Kata juba ya bombe. Ayo mbona hivi? Imekuwa nini? Kaza kujiboje hivi. Haya na juba ya bombe.
A network that, upon seeing this footage, we decided to investigate. Over the next 4 weeks, we shall, with the help of a group of brave Kenyans whom we shall not name for their protection, give a face to corruption that affects millions of Nairobians, unmasking the members of this mafia of government officers and showing you how they operate and what happens to those who refuse to cooperate.
The torture, the murders, the extortion, especially the extortion, is very high and is systemic.
The first thing to understand about the network is just how much and how often bribes are procured from hawkers. The testimonies of hawkers and other informal traders on and off camera gave us an accurate understanding of the bribe structure. If you are a street-level hawker or a trader in a public market, the bribe you will pay on a weekly basis will range from anywhere between 50 and 500 shillings a week. If a hawker cannot pay this bribe, then his goods get confiscated and often wind up in the back of one of the inspectorate's notorious vans. This clip was recorded in July 2015. One of the anonymous whistleblowers gets arrested and gets put in the back of a city inspectorate van. Guarding the door is an unidentified police officer. Listen to the conversation between the officer and other hawkers arrested on that day. A brief, rough negotiation in what is a well-established bribe payment regime. On another occasion, a group of 10 hawkers are arrested and left in the back of the van.
Zile picha nachukua nataka sasa kwenda kusema wamefanya kazi.
Huyo ndiye mkubwa.
Ausikia hata huyo alikuwa ameshikamana huyo. Amemwambia tuchukue huyu anabishwa.
If a hawker can't get enough money organized in time at the police station, the price shoots up to between 4,000 and 6,000 shillings.
I'm insisting and ensuring that the people who are in the informal market are treated with dignity and with respect.
In 2014, these clips were secretly recorded of a confrontation between city inspectorate officers, police officers, and hawkers around Nairobi's Ngara area. This clip clearly shows inspectorate officers burning the confiscated wares of hawkers whom they had had confrontations with earlier on in the day. Clearly an illegal act.
Why would, in confiscating the wares of informal traders, why would members of the inspectorate burn these wares?
I have not heard of any case of that nature, Mr. Namu. It would be very unfortunate if an officer engages himself in such kind of destructive way of confiscating items, because the law is very clear. When you arrest any suspect and there are items that may be to be used as exhibits in the court, they should be put in the exhibit store and placed safely.
Are you aware of an extortion and bribery racket that often uses violence that is being used or that involves members of the inspectorate under which you are the director?
I personally have not received, because what I'm saying is this. In our complaint desk, whereby we have got a register, if a particular person feels that he has got any complaint against the sector or the department, that is where those complaints are registered. And once they are registered, we take immediate action. Or sometimes members of the public may walk to my office, which is very open to any member of the public, that if you feel aggrieved by the actions of our officers, you are supposed to come and let me know. I have not had such kind of a specific case from an individual.
From the evidence gathered, all kinds of informal traders in Nairobi are subject to this extortion racket. Still, the bribe prices don't seem like a lot of money. That's until you match them to the sheer number of informal traders in Nairobi's markets and on the streets. There are no accurate statistics on the number of traders in Nairobi markets or on the streets, but think about it this way. According to various studies, on any given working day, Nairobi's population swells to 4.5 million people. Slightly more than half of them will be in the workforce, about 2.7 million people. For every 4 of these people, 3 will work in the informal sector. Based on the assessment of our researchers, we've been able to collate conservative approximations of the number of informal traders in 22 locations across the city, as well as the average amount of bribes paid per hawker and the average amount extorted per month. The largest numbers are in Eastleigh, Gikomba Market and Muthurwa Market. Eastleigh has approximately 30,000 informal traders. The average bribe paid per hawker per week is 200 shillings. Per month, the total average amount paid in bribes in Eastleigh alone is 24 million shillings. In Toy Market, which has approximately 25,000 traders, the average bribe paid per week there is 50 shillings per hawker. In a week, this comes to an average of 1.25 million shillings. In Gikomba, which has approximately 25,000 hawkers, the average bribe paid per hawker per week is also 200 shillings, meaning that per month, in Gikomba alone, bribes worth 20 million shillings are extorted. If we add the average amount of money paid every month in bribes from the other 19 markets and locations, then every month, that comes to 96 million shillings. Every year, that is 1,152 million shillings in bribes, or $11.5 million. That money can pay school fees for 811,000 primary school going children for 1 year. This number does not include bribes procured when informal traders are arrested, when their goods are confiscated, and when bribes are demanded and given at police stations. With 1 million people joining the job market every year, the number of potential bribe givers only gets bigger. With billions to be made, to officers from the county government, informal traders are looked upon as little more than a feeding trough for the money-hungry officials.
watu mngeenda wapi? Kwa unauzia watapeleka pesa home. Ile pesa si yangu. Sitaipata.
And those with their hands inside hawkers' pockets are very organized. Over the year and a half that secret footage was being recorded by our anonymous whistleblowers, it became clear that Nairobi was divided into zones within which only specific inspectorate officers could operate. The focus was on the most profitable one, 120 square kilometers from Eastleigh down to Pipeline Estate, across town to Kibera, and up to Westlands. Everything in this territory is the illicit domain of a few men and women. It is prime real estate for the extortion network, and it has two of the city's biggest market areas, Eastleigh and Gikomba. Between these two markets, an average of 45 million shillings in bribes are given every month to, among others, this handful of city inspectorate officers. At the top of the food chain, on the street, sits one officer. He allegedly controls 45 of the notorious city inspectorate vans, and all the money is channeled up towards him. Immediately beneath him are men and women who also work for the inspectorate, some of whom do the collecting on his behalf, and nobody dares cross this team. Next week, we unmask this team, showing you their money collection schemes, as well as victim and eyewitness testimonies of their greed and their brutality.
Mtu mmoja alikuwa amepigwa risasi kwa macho ikatokea hapa.
And show you how this extortion may have led to an ongoing murder trial in which 3 city inspectorate officers are the main suspects. Next week on Kanjo Kingdom.
Anaendanga na askari. Chukua kazi tu, kiamuza kazi anakupitia na buduki.
Ada